What's up, guys and girls? Hello and welcome back. We've got a viewer request video coming up, and ironically, it ended up being that I actually chose a quite decent tank compared to what's happening in the forums. We're playing in the absolutely gorgeous AMX Chaffee T6 French / American light tank. You can see tier 10s, doesn't have that good of a gun to pen tier 10s, but when you play it in a passive scout roll, it does really well. We're on Sand River. Fortunately, we're on a decent spawn as well, and we're going to be looking at how we can actually go forward, passive scout and see what comes up, and remain alive. One of the things I liked about the fact of being a tier 10 game is I can show you exactly how poor the tank is in terms of penetrating tier 10, which is a given. It's a tier 6 tank, but at the same time, that you can actually survive and do really well, or at least in some cases survive and win the game. That's primarily the best thing, unless you're doing a ×2. Sod's law is going to be you're going to win a ×2 when you actually die as the first tank or something because someone YOLOs you, etc. That always happens. We can blame RNG and I don't know, matchmaking as well as the gods of Imhotep. So I'm in a position. I've got my binos and my camo net on. I'm going to see what comes up. Primarily, my main focus of going up here is to see what comes along. I'm not able to see what happens in the middle of the map over at C7. I'm only able to see what's down here. All well and good. If I can spot as many people as I can sort of figure out where it is people are going to be going. So if I don't see many people down here, they're going to be buggering off the other side of the map. If I see loads of people down here, it means they're all coming down here, so everyone needs to have a look. Now here's a really fun thing about this tank. I can sit here and actually fire at these people and remain undetected, but it's just the fact that I don't think I'm going to be able the chance to do so that I don't want to. It's not specifically my role to actually go on and try and take people on. I'm here to try and spot people, see where they are. Fortunately, you can get shots off. The light tank was the easiest target for me to hit. So as I'm sat here waiting, I'm waiting for my team to pop up behind. They are giving me some support. Fortunately, there's enough tanks to come over to hold off what's coming up on this side. Now I've done my job. They're going to be pushing forward. They don't see that they're getting hit because the guys were not in position quite as quickly as what I was. So it's just going to be a case of me now moving back. I'm doing like a rolling passive scout. I want to try and make sure I get spotted target hits on people, keep people highlighted, but at the same time remain undetected. And because of the way this tank works, it is relatively easy to do that. But I just want to make sure that I'm not in a firing line of anyone. I don't want to be the target of someone who just wants an easy kill, because it does happen at this tier. So I'm now going to roll back and hopefully try and get shots on people's side, pardon me, who I can actually get shots onto. So unfortunately, I believe the light tank spotted me. It may have been the heavies on the far right. If they were just cresting over top of the hill, their commander Satch would definitely have seen me. But again, I'm not too bothered about that. I'll take the shot, I'll move back into cover and I'll readjust and reanalyze. The Carnarvon, that can get penned. The IS-7, no. Referred to as a black hole generator, it certainly is. It's surprising that my own tank doesn't get sucked into its vortex. Get a nice little shot on the side of E3. Has absolutely no ammo, but I'm again as far away as possible from the action, but as close to the action whereby I'm going to have people spotted still. It is entirely possible that the people in front of me are actually causing the people to be spotted, but that's of no concern. My job itself is not to try and YOLO tank forward and go and take people on. I am going to try and be as much of a nuisance as far back as possible. That includes tracking the Conqueror. So I use the start of the game to identify where people are coming from. Turns out that a lot of their team didn't do very much, and they kind of hid back, which is why there's still quite a clump of them in that corner. I'm now using the second part of the match to annoy people. That will be penning the lower front player of the Conqueror with a substandard gun, which is still actually really good. Or I will try and track people that I need to try and track and stop them from being able to run forward. I'll shoot people and cause them to look in my direction, but it means I can run away. Unfortunately, I have to tell the 704 to fall back because of the two mediums that are coming down, and I believe he does take note of it, but I don't see the rock because that rock is invisible. So you can see that we've started to fall back periodically over the course of the game. Started off really close to where they were and moved back and back and back. I'm now back on our own base. This is sort of where I think I would end up stopping. That I don't think I'll need to push back round again and go around, say, A2. It's not something I need to do, but it's something I think it is at least an escape option that's available for me. The role that the tank plays now is slightly more difficult. The tanks that are coming towards me don't have armor that I can't pen. I can do. It's just I need to hit them in a specific spot. Now, unfortunately, the way in which they're positioned means it makes it very difficult for me to get that shot on them. So it's a case of, okay, I have an Object 704 behind me. Let's see if he can pen them or actually get shots on them. I'd prefer to remain undetected because of the tanks that are coming up and over the top, but that's not too much of a concern. If I can somehow either hassle people into wasting their shots on me, if I can hassle people into actually damaging them and causing them to actually fall back. In the case of the Conqueror, it seems to be that I can get a fair few shots into him. He doesn't seem too fussed about moving for some reason, but if you're going to show me your side armour and I'll armour up you again, I'm perfectly fine with that. And sod's law is, as soon as he's undetected, I can't hit him until after. But again, we're not too fussed about that. We're trying to keep people spotted or annoy them as much as possible in this tank without giving myself away. Hence the reason why I'm still currently on full health. I have been shot at a couple of times, but it's not really something that people have gone for. Now, a little bit later into the game, the rollback has worked relatively well, at least to keep myself alive, but also at least to keep the tanks in front of us alive as much as possible. So you can kind of push forward or find another route. We're at a point now where the passive scouting isn't going to work too well. We know the two tanks that are in cover up top, and we know the tank that's just been spotted down below. The Conqueror has just been removed from the game, and we know about the Heavy and the E3 back on base. It's a bit difficult now to be able to say, right, I'm going to go and sit in a corner and snipe across, or I'm going to go and pino across. This is the point where you can say, okay, the Jagdpanzer E100 is on his own. The E3 and the E75 are on base. This Jagdpanzer E100, I can either try and track him, or I'll fire shots into the back room. Now do remember, this gun is not particularly amazing. I can pen the Conqueror from miles away, but I can't pen the back of a Jagdpanzer E100. So if you can't pen a target, the tracking is the next best thing if you know that other people can get shots on. Fortunately, the Jagdpanzer is facing the other direction, so now it's a case of trying to hassle him as much as possible. I did try and track him several times, and the game told me to go fuck myself, so I was like, okay, I'll try and pen you back. No, can't be done. In this case, I just carry on firing the shots because I could. I'm just going to now reload premium and shoot them there. This is again using the mini-map as a reference to see where people are in the game and whether it is you can actually YOLO forward and take on a tank. The Jagdpanzer 100, more bothered about the Conqueror, but I'm more than happy to sit there and just start firing premium rounds into the back of you, because I know they will pen. And I know that I'm not going to get took out by an E3, I know that I'm not going to get took out by the E75. So now I can eventually get rid of the E100 and move on. Now we're in a bit of a sticky situation. Where do I go from here? Okay, this map has a really good right hand side route that I'm going to be looking to go down at the moment. I know the E3 and the E75 were primarily looking in the other direction. The E75 was slightly further down into the dip than what the E3 was. And I also know the E3 has a relatively slow rate of turning. This tank is really fast. I don't necessarily need to spot them and passive scout them, although I will certainly try it because there's no harm in knowing where they are at all times. I don't see them, so I'm like, okay, they must be a bit closer. I know that I can now push down this side and either get spots on the people that they should know I'm coming down the side, or just spots on the people and allow the TD and the two heavies to actually know where they are. Fortunately, they get spotted by the other two heavies, so that's okay. What will happen there, they will look in the other direction. So this is where I can remove the idea of passive scouting and become the aggressive, annoying little bastard scout. So the E75 looking in the other direction, I was like, okay, do I get the spots on him or do I go round? Ideally what I'd want to do is annoy the E75. The E3 can't shoot me now because of where he's located. The E75 I can get shots onto. If I can annoy him several times over, I'll annoy him. And if I can point them in the direction whereby they'll expose a weak spot to the other people on that team, I'll try and do that as well. Do remember, E75 or German armour is a bit of a piss take when it comes to your shots they're fired. But there you go, the E75 looking in my direction. Perfectly fine. You go and show the rear end of your turret. This is the annoying side of this tank which you can use to get people to do decisions or make moves that will expose them. And you can see the E75 rolling back. Again, don't aim at the turret because this gun won't pen, which is okay. It's not going to be 100% the best thing to use. Again, track him, wait for other people to get the shot. He's turning his turret towards me and is now side on to others. Both with his side turret and what it was to the side of his tank. He's gone. So now I can take on the E3. This is the fun part. fixed turret at TDs like you saw with the Jagdpanzer E100 get flabbergasted when a light tank comes up on them, especially when you find that the light tank is in a position where you can't turn your tank around quick enough. Unfortunately, the E3 is in a really bit of a mare. He can't do anything. I'm too quick to go around him, I'm too quick to get shots off into him, and I'm too quick to be able to make a decision. If I want to track him, I can track him. If I don't want to track him, I can do something else. Not too fussed. Unfortunately, RNG means I low roll, and I miss out on the shot that he threw for the kill, but that doesn't matter. This was a slightly different way of playing the tank, the passive rollback, and then you're moving on to the actual aggressive little bastard tank that people hate. So hopefully, this video gave you an indication of how it is that you can play a light tank, specifically how you can play the AMX Chaffee with it being its autoloader, but anyone similar to it you can find, like the T71 with a fast firing. If something that's got multiple shots that you can fire in a row, you're going to find that this tank is actually quite useful for doing it, but you're also going to find that this is going to be applicable to those other light tanks that have a similar feature. And as the game's on, 2,294 base XP, 3,082 damage, which it isn't too bad to consider that I've out-damaged every single tank in the game, bar the E75 and the other team who got an extra 50 damage, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I would probably say, the T62A is on our team, I would say on par that there are some people who don't know how to use their tank, but that's okay. It's all part of the learning thing, and I'd hope that I didn't get as much damage as what I did. That's not the whole point of what this tank is, but it needed to have inputs from me to shoot people and to get that amount of damage, especially because his gun is not particularly amazing, is relatively good. So being able to figure out when it is that the tank should play a passive roll back, or even an aggressive roll, use the large mini-map for Christ's sake, and use that to see where people are, and you will make these kind of decisions and go and win the game for your team. You can be a tier 6 in a tier 10 game, but you'll end up coming 3rd overall for the damage out of everyone that plays, and you out-damage tier 10 tank destroyers who can derp rounds. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I shall see you guys later.